Hey, what's the crack, YouTubers, and welcome to another hobby hangout. I'm your host, as always, Skarnir, and our special guest on this week is none other than Big Mek Danskull himself. What's the crack, bud?
Whatever you like.
There you go.
With it,
That's it.
maybe.
It's up and running now. We're back in live. Sorry about that,
Awesome.
folks. Every now and then we have a glitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was watching one of yours the other day with Steve-O, and he sat there talking away for a good 5 minutes, and then I'm like, I can't hear him.
Can't hear him. Can't hear him, mate. What's going on?
Yeah,
It's like, Skarnir's up to his usual shenanigans.
yeah. Should we start from the beginning again?
Yeah, fire away.
Yeah, I'll try and give my side of the conversation as best as I can remember it.
I didn't hear a word. All right, folks. So what's the crack? We have our guest Big Mek Danskull on, and we've been waffling on. I was talking about the looters, and what are you painting today, Big Mek
Wow.
Danskull?
I'm glad you asked. I'm going to be painting this squid dread that I converted up for the small vehicle competition that you're on. Or that I converted up. So I'm going to be painting that. And it's converted from a Redemptor Dreadnought. That one's falling apart. That you got with Conquest. So that's what it looks like originally, and then this is what it looks like now.
So it's a squid dread.
Like, the back end is on the top, and the legs are the arms and stuff like that, or the arms are the legs. And then I've got rid of the weapons off it.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Let's try that again. Conquest.
Yeah, Conquest was a couple of years ago it started, and it ran for like 80 issues, so it must have been end of 2018, I think, that it started, like September, October time, I think.
Yeah, I think you're about right, yeah.
Yeah, I'll get rid of this one now, chuck it away. No use to me, that.
Yeah, it's another potential conversion waiting to happen, you know what I mean? You have to have two.
That's it, see.
You know?
And the trouble is, I'm doing the Conquest battle reports on Sundays, so I have to have one for when I eventually get to that issue that requires a Redemptor Dreadnought.
Right.
Yeah.
When you get to that issue of it.
Yeah, and the trouble is, I'm painting my Imperial Fists, painting them up with contrast paints. So I don't think that's going to go well with the Redemptor there. So I'm going to have to find another way of painting it.
Well, this is the thing. Like, I got a few contrast paints myself, and I've mucked around. So I did, like, I was messing around with a Gene Stealer. One of the Gene Stealers, and then I was mucking around with an Orc Boy then, and experimenting with them a little bit. I reckon if you're like starting new, they might be handy for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's really, I don't know. Like, what's your opinion of the contrast paints? Like the way they were advertised, it was sort of like one thick coat and you're sorted. Like
yeah. I think they wanted it to be that revolutionary product potentially, but they were maybe unwilling to change the way they were targeting the product at people or advising people to use the product. And for a new starter, it is like kind of one thick coat job, slap it on. Only trouble is, most people, a lot of people at least, when they start in the hobby, they start with Space Marines, and Space Marines have got big panels of armor. The contrast paint doesn't look great on a lot of the time. Yeah. So if you slap it on, as they suggest anyway. There's a lot of potential with contrast paints to use them in different ways and get great effects. And I think they can look really good on more natural shapes. So on on cloth and stuff rather than on armor panels and on flesh and stuff like that. They can look fantastic, but yeah, definitely as soon as you get to bigger panels of armor and stuff, they're tricky to use. Oh, what am I doing there? I'm using the wrong paint here.
Yeah, they can. I came to the same conclusion as you, pretty much, where it's like if it's a highly textured area, like fur or hair or something that's got a lot of texture on it, like something that's covered in pouches and stuff, like orcs, I think it works really well for, because they're absolutely covered in detail. I think it works well then. But I think, the whole just throw on one coat of paint over a Space Marine is I think I think it might leave some people disappointed, especially new players with brush control. You know what I mean? If people are new to the hobby, I think the thing that will probably let them down a bit is having to work on their brush control. But there's definitely applications for it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I could see.
Because like any new products, but they just I think a lot of experienced hobbyists were a bit disappointed with what they were at the end of the day. Although they're an exciting new product and there's definite potential in them, people can see that, but it's not exactly what GW were advertising.
Doesn't it do exactly what it says on the tin? Is it? It's not a.
Yeah,
It's not got that Ron seal of approval.
Yeah, not quite.
Give it time. Give it time.
Yeah,
No.
definitely. I think it's good to have more products, like more innovation in an industry like this as well. It's exciting.
Well, this is it. Yeah. There was like I have to say there was a lot of coverage. There was a lot of excitement around it, and then I think there's been quite a lot of people have done really good videos on what exactly are the products and how could you go around creating your own if you were that way inclined.
Exactly.
But I could see like if I was to start a new project, maybe like the likes of Tyranids, I think that it would suit them kind of well. Especially around their armor and stuff.
Definitely, yeah.
But for me, established painting techniques, I think do we even have him here? No, he's in his case. I've me Pain Boy painted up, and what I've done is I've done him traditional, what's called traditional style now, where it's like your base paint, your shade, your highlight. Yeah. I've done that with most of the model, but then I've used one of the yellow contrast paints for all of the tubing. He has like his syringe tubing. I just wanted something a bit different. See if it looked like liquid or something, or just sort of experiment with it, and it looks all right. I think it looks okay. So you can experiment with it and find your own way around it, and just try and make the most of it that way.
Is that the newer plastic Pain Boy with the
the one with the weird sort of head and the big sort of
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of that mini myself. I've got one, but I've not opened it yet.
Yeah, I have the sculpt, and I think that's sort of like the collector in me. Like I like having like how do you find it with orcs? With orcs, I find like myself personally, there's like I want to have a stock version of everything.
Yeah.
And then I want to be able to kit bash other bits, so I can. It's sort of like I'm collecting, but also I want to do my own thing at the same time as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm exactly the same. I like to have a stock version of everything. I know Dread believes in converting everything possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly can, but for me, I like to have a stock version of stuff just because it's not. I like following instructions. Like I can bake because I follow the instructions. Baking's like a science. So as long as you follow the instructions, theoretically, everything should come out as was planned. And that's what I like to do with a GW kit as well. But then if I see potential to make it into something different, like this Squid Dread, then, there's definitely another option for me further down the line. I think you can learn a lot about a kit, building it the way it's supposed to be built, and seeing how things go together and stuff, and then come back and approach it a different way the second time you get it.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, especially when you're putting it together and it's like, oh, that's what that bit's for, but you could also see potential in it.
Yeah,
in a
exactly.
Different situation, sort of. I've quite a few heads have popped into the hobby hangout at this stage. Who have we got? We'll say hello. We've got the Red Mek, who's giving out couldn't hear Danskull. We have Essex Boys, Sticks, 88888. Navani's here. What's the crack, bud? Marcus. We have Hans Gruber. Steve-O's here as well, keeping an eye on the gits. The hobby gits here. I think we need to upgrade the hobby git. Hey, there you go, the hobby git. And Nav's hobby corner. Saying, I wonder if Skarnir will be muting the war bosses of the apocalypse in episode 2. I won't. All right, lads. Sorry about the volume. That's all right. It's sorted now. You wouldn't want to be thin-skinned around here, you know what I mean?
No, exactly. Yeah, a lot of criticism flying about, isn't
there? You have, you have to take the good with the bad, the rough with the tumble. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I'd rather be told rather than go for the whole
2 hours. Yeah.
What a wasted stream that'd be. Everybody's too polite to say anything.
Yeah, a very sort of British approach to it. It's like it was a great hobby hangout for the half that we heard.
Yeah.
Got to being too polite to tell them, but. Yeah, at least we got it in the early stages. It's all good now. It's all good in the hood. So how long you with YouTube now, Dan, when did you start your channel?
I think I think I started it around 2000, somewhere between 2012 and 14. I've no idea though, to be honest. Um, yeah, just I started up when I know Idic Bear was running a competition. I don't know if it was a conversion competition or something. I can't remember, but I was building and painting up. Wait a minute, when did the new Flash kits come out? Because
Oh, I think they came out in 2014. That would have
right,
been. I think they came out, yeah, and to tell, because I only remember because I moved to London that year. So I
yeah,
remember like we got the new codex and all, like the Gorkanaut, the Mega Armored Knobs, the
yeah,
Flash kits. They all came out. Um, yeah, 2014 it would have been.
yeah, we got a load of kits then, didn't we?
Yeah, we got
So
a
yeah,
few actually.
it was. I definitely had the channel by then. I think I'd done a couple of videos before then. Maybe around some of the old Eldar models I had and stuff. Because when I first got into the hobby years ago, I was collecting and building Eldar. So yeah, I must have started the channel properly about 2014, where I started putting up regular or semi-regular content at least. But it's only the past couple of years, really, I'd say, that I've put up at least a video a week, really, if I can. And for the most part, I've kept up with it. That's one thing that was good about Conquest for me, was it was forcing me to get up regular content, and became ridiculously easy then to get up the regular content because I had to rush out a video every Thursday or so.
Yeah, getting yourself into the rhythm of it can be difficult. Like this is part of the reason why I enjoy the hobby hangout so much. Is it does two things like that for me as well, where it's a case of it keeps me doing a video consistently every 2 weeks, and at least something's coming out then. But also, more importantly for me, I think it gets me painting. Like I'm
Yeah,
guaranteed to get something painted in the month. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly.
And then it helps other folks as well. They enjoy it and get stuff painted, which is always
Hmm.
cool. Like you know.
Yeah. I do. I try and paint stuff when I'm watching your streams and that, but a lot of the time I just end up sitting there watching it. Occasionally just like scrolling through my phone. I've just got you on the TV or something, just when I need to chill out or something like that.
Oh, it happens, man. It happens. And then what's even funnier is like the likes of Steve will be giving out. He's like, "Oh, I would have got so much painted, but I was, had to get involved in the messages and the
Yeah,
chat
that's it. You
part."
get
It's
caught
like,
up in the chat.
yeah, yeah, that happens to me in so many people's streams as well. Someone will ask a question, then you'll answer it, give your opinion on something, and then they'll
Yeah,
ask you more. And next thing you
bit of back
know,
and
the
forth starts
paintbrush
going.
is down and the paints are drying up, and you're chatting away.
Yeah, exactly. Just lose track of what you were there for. Really, you were supposed to be hanging out and hobbying.
Well, it's a bit of both. You don't have to
Yeah.
hobby, but
Yeah, well, that's it. There's more than one way to do this hobby. That's a good thing about it. There's you're just interacting with other people and talking about it, and the way you both think it should be. Like you've got different opinions or something like that. Both being able to express your opinion about it and why you like a certain unit, hate a certain unit, or like a certain kit and hate a certain kit. It's all part of the hobby, isn't it? Really.
that's it. It is. I think yeah. There's sort of like a Venn diagram of what parts of the hobby we're all interested in. Some of us might be more interested in painting, others might be
Yeah.
more interested in gaming. Other guys like just read the lore and buy the models.
Hmm.
It all depends.
Yeah.
It all really depends. Like myself, I wasn't much of a painter, but I don't know what's happened lately. I've
Yeah.
got the ball rolling.
That's good, man. It's good.
Definitely.
Cracking on, aren't you, with the you, Dread, and Stevo, and Dim? You're all getting together for games at some point, aren't you?
That's the plan, yeah. We're gonna be having now. Gork knows when that's gonna happen in our current
Yeah.
climate, but it's on the cards eventually, lads. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It will happen. When we don't know, but
Once the borders open again.
yeah. Once we get the ball rolling in that regard, we'll definitely get together and have our uh, our head to heads, our little game, and
Hmm.
it'll be yeah, it should be a good laugh. You know what I mean? Bit of banter, yourself.
Yeah, yeah. What are you doing? Are you doing getting together and all playing each other one on ones, or is it going to be like a four-way free for all? Or
Well, we haven't decided yet, mate. We haven't gotten that far ahead. I think once we know when stuff is gonna happen, then
yeah,
we'll sort out the nitty gritty. You know what I mean?
yeah, sensible. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a bit all up in the cards at the moment. So yeah, once we've sort of established when, I'll help the lads hash out the details, and we'll go into the who, what, where,
Hmm.
that type of thing. What about
Yeah.
yourself? Obviously, in the current climate, you won't be getting many games in, but like under normal circumstances, are you getting any games
I
in?
don't play too much. I was thinking earlier today, when was the last time I played? And start of 8th edition, I played 3 games, and I thought, oh, it's going to be great this edition. I'm going to get loads of games in and stuff. I met up with Craig from Kiblams, and we had a game. And my mate down, Craig lives in Derby, and my mate David that I play, he lives in Derby as well. So actual games of 40k though, I've not played since them first 3 games of 8th edition. But Kill Team, I've played a good like probably 20 games of Kill Team since Kill Team came out. I don't play regularly at all. The big part of the hobby for me is YouTube and getting stuff up on my channel and that now really, which I don't mind. Like I've never been, even when I was back in the hobby years ago, when I was around about 12. I didn't really play much then. It was more collecting then really for me because God knows I couldn't paint. But yeah, it was. So I don't get games in too regularly, but yeah, well, when I do get the games in, I think the problem is for me because I don't play regularly. We forget the rules half the time, so that's why we decided to go down to Kill Team. Really, me and my mate, because there's at least fewer things to control theoretically. Anyway,
Yeah,
obviously, there's like you got potentially 20 models in a Kill Team game. You could argue that's the same as having like 20 units in a standard 40k game, but there's less going on, there's less space that you need and stuff like that to play it. So that's one of the reasons we went down to Kill Team. And for me as well, I'm a bit of a hobby magpie. So when something new comes out, if I like the look of it, I'm like, oh God, I really want that. And then Kill Team enables me to just buy 1 or 2 units of a certain faction if I like the look of them and just get the urge to build and paint them as well. So
give them a bash. Yeah, yeah. I can get you. Yeah, it's sort of it's an easier investment in Kill Team to get in on something, whereas when you're, you know what I mean. I think most people expect you to play about 2,000 points of a 40k army, and that's a big investment, not just
exactly.
monetarily, but like your hobby as well. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? To
Hmm.
get all that just built and primed and get it painted, like that's a lot of investment of time. So I can see the allure of Kill Team. Like I've 1 or 2 Kill Teams myself.
Hmm.
I just haven't gotten many games of Kill Team in. Not that I
Yeah.
don't like it, but it's
You don't like it?
I said it's not that I don't like it. I do.
Oh,
I
right.
I like Kill Team. It's just I need to. It's at the stage for me now where I know roughly what's going on, but it's a case of I think there's like a threshold you get to with any game. So like you lads were playing 40k.
Hmm.
After you invest so many games in, depending on each individual, you'll get to the point where you're like, all right, I know how my army works. These lads do this, those lads do that. That's the rules. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
then you start to develop your tactics around that. You have a rough idea. But I do think it's once you get over that threshold, it's all about getting there. Though I think is the hard part.
Yeah, definitely. I think time wise as well for me, Kill Team is a because whenever we were playing, we were me and my mate David. This is we were probably 2 months between games or something like that.
Yeah, and you're
Um,
forgetting stuff. Then
so
yeah,
we were
yeah.
forgetting that much. It was taking us to play like 1,000 point game. It'd be taking us 4 hours or something ridiculous because we'd be checking the rules that often. Whereas with Kill Team, at least it's just more or less just one rule book. Obviously, if you're using elites or commanders, and there's a few more or anything from White Dwarf or the annual, then a few more. But it's mainly in one book, and there's mainly like a section of 4 pages for your faction. So it's not as bad with Kill Team, I find. So even if we've not played for a while, um, there's we're not searching for as long for the rules. So a Kill Team game is supposed to take 45 minutes or something like that, but it might take us an hour and a half. So an hour and a half is better than 4 hours, and a lot of the time we wouldn't even finish the game of 40k
Yeah,
back
there's
in the
nothing
past
worse
when we
than
were
that.
trying to
Yeah,
play. Yeah,
yeah. That's now I can definitely see why Kill Team would be a good go to if you just don't have the opportunity to play as often as you'd like. And Yeah, there's a good few reasons. Time, space. It's like, what are kill team boards? You could play it on like a coffee table, mate, couldn't you? They're not massive, like.
Yeah, last time I was down at my mate's house, we played on his kitchen worktop. He's got like a sort of island, and we played on that. So that was the best place to play at the time because he's got a new baby. We used to play on the floor a lot of the time in his living room or something. But he's got a new baby now, so baby's crawling around, can't be crawling all over the battlefield, can he?
Yeah, taking up your hard fought minis in hand and having a crack at them. We have a question for you here, Dan, from Navani. He's asking, his question for Mr. Danskull, the beard. How long time has it been saving it, and how much time does he spend on making it look that good?
Yeah, I wake up like this. That's it. I've had a beard since the age of about 12, and no, I started growing a beard when I was about 12. That's when I could grow like a decent beard, but I didn't have a moustache for years. But I don't know the last time I shaved, to be honest. It's best way to find out is to go back through my YouTube videos and then you'll find out.
Definitely.
But yeah, I've probably not had a proper wet shave in a good 2 years or something like that. Maybe I think the last time I had a wet shave actually could be when my mate that I play 40k with, when he got married, and I don't know when that was. It could be 3 years ago, 4 years ago, maybe.
So you've been growing for about 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, but like that's...
And then trims in between probably and stuff like that.
Yeah, shaving occasionally in between, just whipping it off with the clippers. But I get skin irritation when I shave, so because I've got like really terrible skin. It gets like dry, it gets greasy, it's really weird, my skin. So yeah, that's the reason I grow it, because it just gets too irritating when I shave all the time. But in terms of looking after it, I wash it with shampoo and I condition it as well. And then I just jump out the bath and spend about 5 minutes drying it, running some oil through it and then drying it, and then stick some just product in it. But the thing is, I tie it up as well. So it's actually longer than this, but I tie it up in a bobble and clip it into, sort of tuck it under and then clip it in.
So it's longer again, but you've got it like tied up and...
Yeah, it's like a wizard's beard kind of thing when I take it out. But it's like dead wispy at the bottom.
All right. Do you need like ends sort of like trimmed, is it? Or something like that?
Well, the trouble is I don't look after it, so it's all kind of... I've got split ends and stuff like that, so I really need to start getting to a barber's or something, and, well, I can't at the minute.
Not at the moment, this is it.
Tempt it myself. With some, I've got some hair scissors somewhere, so I could attempt it myself. I don't know if I'm ever going to open this pot of paint. I feel like I've been shaking it for about 10 minutes.
Well, speaking of shaking paint, so have you ever tried? I only just bought some of these like shakers. They're pretty much like ball bearings, but getting good quality ones for your paints. Have you tried any of these yourself?
I've not tried them, no. Which company are they from?
These are the AK Interactive ones. I'd asked Dread had actually told me about them. He was saying they were pretty good. As I was finding with some of me, the Vallejo, especially the Model Air ones, you can see that it sort of settles in the bottom, some of the pigmentation. But having an agitator in there, it speeds it up. It really does. It speeds things up a good bit, and it helps you shift that pigment that sometimes sticks at the bottom. Yeah, they're not a bad investment at all, those. I'd give them. I'd suggest anyone grab them. I only bought them recently myself, but I find they're handy. Definitely.
I think you hear all kinds of things about people's paint going rusty, don't you? So
yeah, but that's why you don't.
Good ones is the key, isn't it? The stainless steel ones that really are stainless steel and don't rust.
Yeah, like going on to El Cheapo Chinese sites and buying them there. You know what I mean? You get what you pay for, mate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Especially when it comes to paints. Paints they're not cheap. So, I don't get that. I don't get why someone would cheap out on agitators for their paint, and then it's like they rust. It's not gonna help.
Yeah. Last thing you want, isn't it? Let's see if we can pop it.
Orc stuff is saying jigsaw and a Jubilee clip. Well, that's one way to do it, mate. That's one way to do it. Could have a bash.
It works, doesn't it?
Well, that's it. As long as you don't take an eye out or end up with your miniature paint everywhere, you'll be laughing. Like, what paints do you use yourself, Dan, when you're painting?
just use the Citadel ones because it's very much like we were talking before about the kits, and I like to just build one as standard. Sometimes I like to just follow GW paint guides as well, so it's easier just having. I know you can get all kinds of reference sheets that will tell you alternatives to certain GW paints, but I like the convenience of the GW paints. I know where I can get them, and yeah, just stick mainly with GW ones. I find though a lot of people say they don't like the GW ones because of the pots. I find dropper bottles. I've got some Vallejo ones and stuff, but I find dropper bottles always bung up in the end for me. So, and they get messy on the top. So I don't particularly like dropper bottles as much as the GW paint pots dry up too much. There's problems with each for me at least. Anyway.
Well, yeah, I think you're hitting on a point there where it's a case of what works for one of us may not work for the other.
Yeah.
So I think we're lucky in that regard in this day and age, in that we have such a wide selection of
got so many options out there.
paints, like, you know what I mean, between your Citadels and your Vallejos and your Army painter and on P3 paints, coat the arms. There's loads of them. You shake a bleeding tree and you'll get a paint pot out of it these days. You know what I mean?
There's tons out there, yeah.
There's absolutely loads of choice, and I think that sort of brings up the point that it's like, there isn't just the one paint works for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like me and you, it's like you prefer Citadel paints a bit more, and I'm starting to lean more into Vallejo, but that doesn't mean that one of us is right and one of us is wrong.
Yeah. Just a different option, different way of working, isn't it?
It's whatever works for you as a hobbyist. But I think some people don't see it that way. It's sort of like football teams, kind of. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're loyal to what you trust and what you know. I think sometimes.
Yeah, that's it.
What you've had results with,
which is understandable.
People can become quite tribal about it, can't they?
Oh, we can, mate. Oh, we can. We can come by. It's funny, like, over the smallest of things. You have to laugh at it, though. You do have to laugh.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'd pull your hair out. Not that we have that option,
No, unfortunately not, man.
Those days have come and gone, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, God.
So what would you say is the worst painting experience you've had?
Worst painting experience?
Well, like, maybe even the product, like, because I bought some products not too long ago and I wasn't happy with them at all.
I was thinking then, I don't think I've had a bad painting experience, but thinking about it, now you mention it, and it happened today as well, actually, but it's not beyond, I don't think it's beyond saving at the minute, but rattle cans, particularly army painter ones I've had this problem with, I think they run out of propellant quicker than they run out of paint sometimes.
Yeah.
So I've had 2 army painter rattle cans that I've bought that have both still got paint in them, can't get any paint out of them because they've run out of propellant. There's just nothing in there. It's not that they're clogged up or anything like that.
The pressure just dropped off.
Yeah. But today I think it's more of a clogged nozzle situation. I've got a Montana paint that I was using to spray this fella brown. And I think it's just more of a clogged nozzle situation with that one. So I think I can repair that situation. But yeah, like a lot of people don't like the army painter, the bottled paints, because they say they're too thin and stuff like that. I know Steve-O works with them though. We got the ultimate paint set from him, didn't he?
He swears by them. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? He absolutely swears by them. And I'm like, fair play to you.
Yeah, and then but it's the rattle cans for me of theirs that I don't like. I've not tried the bottle paint, so I can't speak about them too much. But I've had 2 cans of the rattle can paint, and they both just died on me, and they've still got paint in there, but I can't get to it without opening it up or something daft.
Sort of, that just sounds like a messy process, mate.
Mm-hmm.
That just sounds like a messy process.
Not something I want to start doing.
Well, this is it. What did I buy? I bought some. Like, it's strange because even some producers, like, some of their products are great, and other products I've tried, I don't know.
Yeah.
So the thing is, you don't know sometimes. Is it like, did I get a bad batch, or did I just, like, are these just terrible? Like, I bought a paint set. It was an AK Interactive Air Series paint set, and Like these are them here. I've thrown up. Now they separate, but that doesn't bother me because you give them a good shake and they actually go back together pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But these guys, it says brush and airbrush. This is the thing. Like I haven't tried them in the airbrush yet, but these guys are weird because they're like glossy, and they're just like standard, scale reduction, accuracy, and ease of use. But these come out like kind of glossy, and then a little bit tacky as well. So it was not. It was almost like I was painting with enamel paints.
That's weird then.
That is weird. You know what I mean? I'm like, but this is the weird thing. Like, it's good though. You need to sort of like experiment and buy other paints and see what works and doesn't work for you. But yeah, I would not advise anyone to go near these ones. I need to try and spray paint them and see if try them in an airbrush and see what they're like then, and it'll give me final verdict. But for now, don't bother if you're gonna be paintbrushing with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you use your airbrush a lot?
No, I do not use my airbrush a lot. I find I just find myself painting by hand. Like these guys here I'm doing now, the Lutas. I actually airbrushed these years ago when I was watching one of Spud's live hangouts, and I airbrushed these guys all silver because if you look at some of them, their pants are all silver and all that. So I airbrushed these guys all silver years and years ago with a Forge World metal. I think it was a Forge World paint.
All right.
And give them a bash, and then I've just been picking out the detail with the paintbrush. So I think, you know what I mean. Anytime I have used it, I'm not much of a I don't do any special effects with the airbrush. I'm just sort of like I can get me prime on. Like I've bottles of primer, but then I brush this on as well. Like I've some Vallejo primer. Like I'll try that with the airbrush, or most of the time lately I've just been using the paintbrush because I'm just a lazy git, you know what I mean? Having to get the airbrush out and set up the compressor and clear space.
I know that feeling.
Yeah.
I've got an airbrush myself, but I don't remember the last time I used it. I think I started painting some 30k Thousand Suns because they're that metallic red color, aren't they? So yeah, tried doing a bit of that, and then that's probably the last time I've used it, and that was probably a couple of years ago or something ridiculous.
I'm in the same boat.
But it's I'm glad I've got it, because if I need an airbrush, if I need to get something painted quickly, just slap a load of paint all over something. If I had a game coming up or something, I wanted to spray a load of boys blue, then I could quite happily just do that and then just paint the flesh green, and then that'd be all right for the time being. But it's something that it takes time to prepare and to get your area set up and everything like that. So it's just it's an investment, definitely, an airbrush, but it's something I don't use as much as I feel I should.
Yeah, no, I think I'm in the same boat, Dan. And do you know what? It's probably something like what we're talking about with 40k, where there's probably a threshold of investment you'll get to with the airbrush, where it'll be worth using it continuously. Do you know what I mean? You have to get over that sort of learning curve with it. I think it probably ties into that. Because what you're saying is pretty much similar to my situation with an airbrush. It's like I have it, and but it's there getting over what consistency you'll need so that it doesn't clog up all the time, and you need sort of a space for it, and you know what I mean. Like I have a little extraction boot, but it's pretty much a shelf full of orky bits. So it's organising your space, and you know what I mean. Once you get the ball rolling, I'm sure it'll help you be more productive. But it's I'm just a lazy bugger, you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, definitely, same with me.
It has to be convenient and quick.
Yeah. Have you got a Prophet of the Wolf box set on order?
Oh, the Saga of the Beast sort of. Yeah. I've got a couple of them on order actually.
Oh, have you?
Cool. Yeah. I've promised one of the Danskull minis off, and then I was just because looking at the price of it, I went and bought it from a third-party retailer. And even just if you got Danskull and the Mega Knobs, it's like, I reckon Danskull will be about 40 quid by himself. I'm like, even just that by itself, it was worth getting. Yeah. And then the Space Wolf side of it isn't great, but you can trade with people or trade with your mates for more orky bits, or try sell them on. So I've got 2 on order. What about yourself?
Just one for myself. I ordered mine from a third-party website as well. Got an email the other day, obviously, with saying GW are shipping out again, but we don't know when the orders are coming and that. So hopefully I'll get it at some point this week, and then I can get the big guy built. Fingers crossed.
This is it, man. Like I've no idea when mine's gonna come. Could be months from now, but if I'm being honest, like I'm not upset. It's because the amount of stuff that I personally have, and I think most of us are probably guilty of it if we're in the hobby any period of time. You know what I mean? We have a lot of models.
Working on.
Yeah, we have a lot of stuff on the back burner.
Absolutely.
I was even, you know what I mean? I was even saying joking with some of the lads. I was saying we could be in lockdown for the rest of the year, lads, and I'll still be up to my eyeballs in miniatures. You know what I mean? It's
same here.
I'm not.
I've not got anywhere near as much as I thought I might have done so far either. So it's not like I'm working my way through things quickly. But I've got a room full of stuff upstairs, and then I've got bits and bobs dotted about the house for where I've started things, and then I've just left them in certain rooms. So it's I think I could, if miraculously I started building and painting stuff every day, I don't think I'd get through it by the end of the year.
Yeah. Oh, don't get. If we're talking about half-finished projects, that's that's another list in and of itself. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's I'm a bit like that, Dan. Myself, you were talking about being like a hobby butterfly. I'm like that. It's sort of like a moth to different projects. It's like, ooh, shiny. I'm like that myself. I can definitely get what you're saying in that regard. So
yeah,
you're preaching to the choir here quite a bit when you're talking about half finished projects. It's like I reckon quite a lot of us are in the same boat, mate. So you're not alone.
Yeah, it's good to know it's not just me.
you're not alone in that endeavor. No. Definitely, but it's good. I'm liking. I suppose that's the one positive thing out of the whole lockdown situation we're in is I think a lot of folk have sort of sat down and realized, how much stuff they have and how they can keep themselves busy. And I think we're probably lucky in that regard with our hobby that we can sort of keep ourselves, ticking over in that regard. We have something to keep us mentally occupied.
Yeah.
I reckon it's probably a lot harder for a lot other folk who are more used to doing sports and stuff like that. They're probably losing their bleeding marbles at this stage,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I follow football myself, and it's a little frustrating not being able to finish the season so far. But it's at the end of the day, I've got other stuff that I can be getting on with and keep me sane. Thankfully, not that football was keeping me sane at the moment. I was tearing my hair out at the start of the season. But yeah, I've got various interests, so it's not too bad for me. Some people that football's a life. I can't imagine what it's like for them at the minute. They can't even get out of their house to have a kickabout in the park because it gets kicked off the park by the police.
Yeah, it's
essentially anyway.
It's mad, isn't it? Yeah, it's crazy times. Crazy. Yeah, definitely. That's where I would say we're lucky in that regard.
Yeah,
definitely.
Can do your hobby indoors. It's all right, isn't it?
What's going on in the comments section? Let's have a look. Orc stuff and the hobby gate. Navani, DM, what are you saying? Would GW of all companies prioritize themselves for it? Don't tell me he's going on again. DM, are you going on in the comment section again? Oh, good. Love it. I think they were cracking on about paint pots. When you've messed around with your airbrush, like how have you found the paint pots? Did you like the dropper bottles for that? Because I've heard that with a lot of people.
Definitely better than the Citadel pots. It's no contest in that regard. They're nice and simple. You can just put a couple of drops in and then a drop of medium or something to thin it down, whichever way you like to do it, and then spray away. But they're definitely the only way to go, I think, for if you're an airbrush painter, unless you want to colour match the Citadel ones. But then do you want to go through the hassle of transferring them into dropper bottles like some people do? It's what's the time worth to you? Would you rather drop it in, like try and tip it in with the pot, or would you rather get your brush and drop a bit in and drop a bit more in with your brush? It's because you lose a bit on your brush then as well, don't you? So it's like you're using it quicker than you should be doing. So
well, this is it. But what do you think? Like, if Games Workshop did some of their line in dropper bottles, like
I think
they do,
makes total sense to do the air paints in dropper bottles, and I think people, lazy people as well, like me, they'd probably just buy them anyway because you don't have to thin the paint down there. A lot of people prefer the air paints. I think I was watching Twisted Dice the other day on their channel. Aceface was saying he buys the air paints. He prefers the air paints just because you don't have to thin them down. So it saves you that little bit of time, a little bit of
pot. Yeah.
Yeah. It's an interesting thought to suggest they should do at least some of the line in a dropper bottle. I'd say it makes sense, and I think most people would have them. Like I'm in the minority clearly when it comes to Citadel paint pots versus dropper bottles, but most people would have them transfer them over to dropper bottles right away.
Yeah, I could see that argument. You know what I mean? I could understand it. I could also understand there'd be a lot of backlash from some guys who are very sort of like traditionalists. So I think the smart money if Games Workshop were to go to dropper bottles would be just to start with the air line, and see how that goes, because that does make the most sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like the transition into Primaris Marines, isn't it? Like
slowly,
really, they're not going to get rid of all of the regular sized Marines right away, are they? But you would have thought in 10 years at least they'll have more or less phased out all of the smaller Marine models.
Yeah, give it time. Give it time.
Yeah.
But
they could easily do that with dropper bottles as well.
Yeah.
I don't makes sense to do it with first, and then eventually all of them.
They could do. Like I can understand people's mentality of doing it themselves, but it's like the paints aren't cheap, mate. So
yeah,
if you're transferring, you're buying another bottle first of all, so that cost is added in. Yeah. Then you're transferring over, so you're gonna lose some paint and transferring it over, and I'm just like, that's a bit, like it's a bit too much, for me personally. But
time investment as well, and yeah, it's. Is it worth the money? Is it worth the time? Is it worth the hassle? If it is to you, then great, but wouldn't be to me, definitely.
Well, that's it. Like it's all down to personal preference and taste.
Mm-hmm.
One product someone likes, another one may not. But
exactly.
Like we've already said, now is a great time for choice. You're spoiled for it.
Exactly. Something out there for everyone. I feel like we're sitting on the fence with every conversation we're having here. We need some stronger opinions.
All right. You want me to stick? All right. Well, I tell you what I do when I don't like about the different products.
Go
on. We'll talk about Citadel paints. I don't like the bottles, and I don't like the price. I think they're too expensive. Yeah. So.
Or some of the most expensive paints out there, but they dry up quicker than all the others because of the bottles.
Yeah, and you know what I mean. If I had a tinfoil hat, I'd put it on, and I'd be like, I think Games Workshop would be happy to leave it in its current sort of format of it drying up. Sort of, they're kind of like perishable goods.
Yeah,
I think definitely there was a change in paint pots. If you looked. If you look at like some of the old time geezers who have like paint pots that are older than me, and they're still.
I've got an old blood red paint here. That's from the 90s, and that's still wet.
Still good, like, you know what I mean. Yeah. Whereas these days, you'd be lucky if you get a couple of years out of it, or in some cases, it's really bad. But
crazy the difference.
Yeah.
It can't just be the bottles, can it? Surely you wouldn't have thought.
Well. I don't know. We're going into conspiracy theory land here, Dan. You know what I mean?
Let me get my tinfoil out of the kitchen.
We're going into conspiracy theory land. Don't want to ruffle too many feathers. More folks popping into the Hangout. What's the crack? Don't forget, guys, as well, if you're painting along with us, that we have the Discord. We will have a look later on in the show. I've thrown a link up there for the Discord. So throw up your work in progress and whatever you're working on. If you're doing like some miniature modeling, some green stuff work, if you're doing some painting, whatever you're doing in the hobby while you're listening to us waffle on in our conversation, throw it up there and we'll have a look. Of course, you don't have to throw it up if you don't want to show, but if you want to, fire it away.
Show it. You have to show it, or you've got to stop watching. Simple as that.
That's it.
Strong opinions. That's what we want.
That's well, right. We're not sitting on the fence here. There's none of the softly approach anymore. It's participate or
Although that might send your view countdown, so no, you don't have to show it.
Nah, it's grand. It's the same with everything else. It's like some people like to show their work in progress, other people don't. Other
Exactly.
gets like me, it's like, oh, I started work on this thing, and then people are like, have you finished it yet? It's like, no, I got distracted. Sorry.
Started something else instead.
Yeah, that's it. Or I get distracted with something else. I get. Do you know what I find, Dan? I don't know what it is in projects yourself personally, but for me, I kind of get lost in the detail.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I started the Grot Tank scratch build, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll go super detailed in it, and then I burn myself out in it. But I've started working on it again, but slowly. You know what I mean? Slowly.
For me, I think I get to a hurdle and then I'm not sure how to overcome it, so I just leave it. I put it to one side, and then leave it for a bit. Or like if it's for a competition or something, like I've got a pyramid that I was working on for an Iddick Bay terrain square competition a few years ago. And it's still sat over there, like unfinished. I was going to clad it, and I've still got all the stuff I need to clad it and make it look like it's big blocks of like sort of sandstone. But I've not got around to finishing it because the competition's finished now. Like I got the bridge part of it done, which was the part was used getting built for the competition, but I didn't get the pyramid finished. So it's just sat there now waiting, all sad in the corner and naked.
Yeah, neglected, staring at you. How do you find like building competitions? Do you find they help personally to get projects done, or?
Oh no, they don't help to get projects done. In my experience, they help to get projects started. They're great for creativity, for encouraging creativity and stuff. But for me personally, I find they distract from whatever I'm currently working on. So that's why a lot of the time I don't necessarily enter the competition. Like I didn't enter your second building competition, Big Mek competition, because I thought, you know what, if I start something new, I'm not going to be able to get whatever I was working on at the time done. So I just cracked on with what I was doing instead. Community-wise, and for encouraging people to interact with each other and encourage each other and get creative, then they're fantastic. They really are.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there. Yeah.
Me personally, a lot of the time, it's like sometimes, like at one stage on YouTube a couple of years ago, there was about 4 or 5 building competitions going on at once, and people starting right after someone had finished one and stuff. And it was like, oh my God, what's going on? I'm just get them all started, let alone finished.
This is it. Do you know what we should do, Dan? We should do at some stage is get your project finished competition, something like that.
Absolutely.
So. Just a sort of an initiative drive to get stuff done.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That, definitely. Whatever your project is.
Whatever you've left on the back burner builder. There you go, or something like that.
Exactly. I'll list in your initial entry like how long it's been sat on the shelf for, and you'll hear some horror stories like 6, 7 years, 20 years.
Yeah. I think this needs to happen. Definitely.
It'd be helpful, definitely.
Because of a few myself.
Yeah, every now and again, I think Richard at the Nerd Life, he was one for it, sharing stuff on Facebook about finish not perfect and stuff like that. And that's the attitude I think you need to have. You need to kind of be ruthless in that sense and just get on with something, get it finished. It might not be perfect, but it's at least you can use it at the tabletop. You can use it as a bit of terrain or as this centerpiece unit for your army or whatever. Where you weren't using it before, it was just on the shelf, and It's
Taking up space, yeah.
taking up space, and it's essentially it's something you've invested in, but you're not getting any reward from because you're not getting to use it. Or, you might find it rewarding to work on it and that, but it might have been on the shelf for a couple of years, so it's it kind of loses its value, I'd say.
Yeah. No, I can get that, yeah. I had to sort of adapt how I paint my orcs to sort of be able to actually get them onto the tabletop. So it was a
Yeah,
case of, like myself, when I was painting them initially, I tried 30 orc boys and I just, I went arseways about painting them. I really did. And I just
yeah.
gave myself, I killed off the motivation. So I was like, right, I need to sort of just have a basic standard that I'm happy with.
Mm-hmm.
And then try and get like all of the army painted to that standard and then come
Yeah,
back to it at a later date. Now, I may
yeah.
not get back to them. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? But at least you have,
They've got
like,
green skin, they've got a
yeah,
wash on, and then eventually, like you say, you might work your way through them again and take them to the next level. But at least they're usable, and from a couple of feet away, they look all right.
this is it. This is it, man. And if people are coming along and they want to look at your miniatures and picking them up, you know what I mean? You invest that little bit more time into characters and go, look, the orc boys are just chaff. If you want
Yeah.
to actually, this is probably a truer representation of what I can do painting wise. There you go, mate. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? People
Yeah.
love characters for that type of thing. They're sort of like,
Yeah, that's the ideal way to approach the hobby, and if you can do that, it's fantastic. But I think people like me and you, a lot of the time, we do get just too deep into a
yeah,
certain like a chaff model. So we're not going to be we're painting a unit of 10, 20 old boys, whatever, and we just spend too much time on it, or we put it to one side because like, I'm not sure how I want to do that, but I want to make it look right. So you put it to one side and then never quite get it finished or on the tabletop painted up anyway.
5 years later, it's like, oh, I really should get them done. You know what I mean?
Cabinet behind me, I've got flash gates, mega knobs all started but not finished.
This is it, man. This is it. Getting them finished. That's what we need to be working on. Like these looters here. Jesus. Like I bought some of these looters when the looters first came out, and they're only getting properly painted now. You know what I mean? Like I found a picture of a battle I played in like 2015, and there's quite literally like some of these looters are in a battle report, and they're just bare grey plastic. And I sort of, I think I like resigned myself to that mentality of I was just the guy who played with unpainted miniatures.
Yeah,
And I sort of embraced that and went with it. But it's sort of different. Like I have to say, it's a different kind of experience when you actually put the time in to paint your miniatures, because you
yeah,
start, getting compliments off of people about your miniatures being painted. Oh,
yeah.
that's really nice. It's like, you what? It's
hmm
weird, like it's
yeah.
really weird.
Like if you I don't know if you ever watch people's videos when they filmed at a tournament or something like that. And then they're sharing their experience and stuff, and then they might show like the best painted army. Sometimes it's not even that great a paint job, but because they've gone with a theme and stuff like that, and because everything's painted, then it's it does. I think it does. It adds to people's enjoyment of the game, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Even
yeah,
even if it's a subconscious thing for some people, where they might say, "Oh no, I can enjoy the game," even if there was no models involved. It's just like bits of tokens on the tabletop or something like that. But I think somewhere subconsciously it does add to your enjoyment of the game, whether you notice it or not.
well, it's the visual spectacle. Like, yeah,
It
if you
becomes
hark back to like when you see the hobby, you know what I mean. The thing that impressed you, like I remember when I'm speaking for myself, but I could say probably for everyone. The thing that impressed you when you went into a store or you saw them displayed or whatever was like two painted armies up
yeah,
on like a full terrain board, and you were like, wow, this looks awesome, what's this?
mhm,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? The sort of that wow factor to grab you. So there is something to it. Like,
yeah. There's a reason they have a display table set up in every games workshop, is to capture your imagination straight away, because you can't necessarily convey the whole 40k universe to someone, in their 5 minutes in a shop. So set up this cinematic battlefield with two opposing forces, good versus evil, something you can relate to straight away. And then it's not until you get deeper into it you realize maybe it's not good versus evil, it's more like evil versus evil. But yeah, it's just something that captures your imagination right away. When you're a kid playing with toy soldiers, you've got, there's not. I don't know where I'm going with this. Actually, I just realised I'm just waffling on, and I've got myself into a corner. No idea where I'm going with that. What an idiot!
No, it's all right. You're bringing back nostalgia for me because I remember playing as a kid with in my grandmother's garden. One of the lads who lived across the road. I remember he used to have a massive bag of like plastic soldiers. You're just like your greys and your greens, the old cheapy ones. He had a massive bag of them, and we used to play. Used to play a load of them. And then you know what I mean. You'd be gardening like years upon years later, and then every now and then you might find a plastic soldier that got left behind.
Yeah,
but it's always funny. Like.
Yeah, I think it's just I don't know, the storytelling aspect of human nature, I think, is possibly what that appeals to, because it's a simple visual representation of a story, isn't it? Just sat there on the tabletop, the terrain's all painted and stuff like that as well. So it draws your imagination right away, or draws your attention and captures your imagination, I should say.
Yeah, it's like I said, it'll go back to the visual spectacle. We're very visual creatures.
Yeah.
There's telling somebody that something's awesome, and then there's just showing them. I think that probably ties into BattleTech, which is another game that I'm sort of actually getting into after many years. Previously, I didn't want to get into BattleTech because it's a great game set. So it's a great rule set. It's another tabletop war game where you just, the miniatures are about the same size, but they're supposed to be giant mechs.
Yeah.
And the problem I had previously was I didn't like the miniatures that they had.
Yeah.
So it's like you might have the best game in the world, mechanically, but visually, if it's not drawing folk into your game, you know what I mean? It's not gonna work out.
Yeah, for me, one of the reasons I can't get into games sometimes, like when Age of Sigmar first came out, I just didn't like the aesthetic of a lot of the miniatures, and I still don't. I'm collecting the Mortal Realms magazine, but it's more for channel coverage because people want to see me cover the magazines in the same way that I did Conquest. But at first, neither army appealed to me. Like the Stormcasts really don't hold much appeal to me at all, but I just find them a bit bland and a bit boring and depthless. But the Nighthaunt models, there's something appealing about them. I can't quite work out what it is yet, but one of the reasons as well that I decided I would give it a go and try and cover Mortal Realms in the same way was because I wanted some of the Nighthaunt models to convert into like 40k models for like a Dark Mechanicum Force or something. So I thought it'd be a good way to get some, and then I can use the rest in a giveaway or something like that. But yeah, if something doesn't appeal to me aesthetically, I really struggle to get into it. So it's one of the reasons. Like I know you were talking the other week to Steve-O when you mentioned you just can't get your head around why people would like Space Marines, or they don't appeal to you anyway. I think you said.
Yeah, to me personally, though.
With Necrons, I just visually I can't get my head around, or not visually. To a certain extent, it's visually that I just find them a bit boring because they sort of, from a distance, they all kind of look the same, which I guess is it's a unified faction, a unified force, and Space Marines have that kind of thing as well. But yeah, they're just aesthetically, if something doesn't appeal to me, I don't have the same enthusiasm for it as I do.
You can't invest yourself into the project as much. Yeah.
I can't get the buzz that I can with something else that does appeal to me.
I'm just double checking over my shoulder here that Nick's not in the comment section. It's all right. You're grand, mate.
Yeah. Storm on.
That's it. Oh, keep slagging off his Necrons. He wouldn't be happy with that.
I did have some old Necron models from the 90s that I sent to him actually, because I bought them because at the time they did appeal to me a bit more, and it was the old metal ones. And I did, for some reason, I liked them ones, but I don't like these new, more skinny plastic ones, which is the
Yeah.
really old kit now anyway, the Necron Warrior kit. But yeah, so I've sent him some old ones, but I kept one for myself because I don't. Do you have any of your old paint jobs at all from when you first got into that?
Do you know, you're a gas man. You've pretty much hit on what I do. Is even if I sell on an army, I like to keep one miniature from it.
Yeah.
So if I've had an army, like I've gone through various armies, I've sort of some hidden away in the desk here somewhere, some bits and pieces. But I think I've only ever really had one sort of fully painted army.
Yeah.
In that regard, but I don't know where they are at this moment in time. I'd tear the room apart. But I've got I still got a Bretonnian archer from my first Bretonnian army. I've still got Logan Grimnar from my Space Wolves army from when I was a young fella. That was like my first 40k army was Space Wolves because my grandparents bought it for me. So I still have like some of my old miniatures. Like I said, I like to hold on to one. Is that what you do yourself? Do you hold on to one from an army, or?
To be honest, the only thing I've got rid of is that squad of Necrons. I've got tons of old Eldar from the 90s in the old Metal Eldar Aspect Warriors and stuff, all upstairs. I did intend to get them all painted and that, but I've just not got around to it because I'm just like I go dead slow through my hobby. So I buy stuff quicker than I can get old stuff painted, unfortunately. But I seem to have slowed myself down a bit in recent years, though, thankfully. But yeah, my old in terms of old paint jobs and stuff, unfortunately, I don't have anything from when I first started the hobby because the first unit I bought was like the old Metal Striking Scorpions, and I stripped them when I got back into the hobby properly about 2012, 13, 14. I stripped them to get them painted up again, but I wish I'd just kept some.
Yeah,
so I could compare. People. Yeah, every now and again, people get out an old model and compare it to a model they painted last week or something. And I wish I was able to do that. This is the first miniature I painted. This is the latest miniature I painted. Because despite the fact that I'm not an amazing painter now, I'm so much better than when I was a kid. It's unbelievable. Like I used to on paint, I bought. I had a unit of Striking Scorpions. So what was the paint I bought at the time? I bought Scorpion Green because surely that's the right color for Striking Scorpions, and it's like green, I think Scorpion Green. And it wasn't the right color for them at all. But I just slapped it onto the bare metal and hope for the best kind of thing. I didn't go into the GW stores and sit down for any painting lessons or anything like that, which any normal person would do. I just kind of ran home with my goodies and
you're too excited.
What I thought was right.
Like, oh yeah, I'll do it, and then bring it back in, and they're oh mate, why don't you tin down your paint type of thing? I'm trying to see if I can find. I have a Bretonnian archer around here somewhere from my very first box set, but he's not even fully painted. I base coated him. That's how consistent my lack of painting has been over the years. It's knocking around. Oh god, it's absolutely hilarious. But yeah, no, I was looking in that regard, Dan. I've said it a few times. I'm sure the lads are probably sick of me talking about it. But like when I first learned the hobby, it was in a Games Workshop, and I bought a painting set, and they taught me. So I was taught from the get go to like tin me paints and you know what I mean. It was nothing like my painting wasn't anything special. It was just sort of I was pretty tidy. That was it. But there wasn't anything. Just think of like base coating, flat base coating, and that was it. That was me painting. You know what I mean? I'm sure. They would have.
Makes me sick when I think of the way I painted stuff back in the day, and then every now and again, some proud parent will share on Facebook on a 40k Facebook page or something. They'll share a model that the 7-year-old son or daughter's painted, and I'd be like, "That's better than I can do now. What's wrong with How can you paint that well?"
Well, this is where you compare yourself to yourself, Dan. Exactly. You know what I mean? It's a personal journey.
To be honest, I don't compare myself to many people. The only people I compare myself are when I see that a young kid's painted something like ridiculously well. It's like, what? How are you able to do that? But everyone has different talents, don't they? And I've always been average at best at everything. I've never been
specialized,
and so it's something I've come to terms with a long time ago in life, really, where I don't imagine, it sounds a bit sad maybe, but I don't think I'll ever excel at anything. But it doesn't bother me. I'm happy with my lot in life, and with where it's got me.
You're going for the jack of all trades and master of none sort of strategy. Yeah. That would be me as well. I'm not too much of a specialist. I just sort of I'm all right at a lot of things. I'm not amazing at any one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the sort of the path we've taken then.
Yeah.
But it's all right. We'll get there. We'll get base coats on our miniatures. That's all that matters.
That is all that matters. As long as it's all right from about 20 feet away, we're okay.
Someone standing closer, like, oh, my eyes, I can't unsee it.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be so funny. I'll throw up another link. I'm going to throw up another link for the Discord, lads. I can see they're all happily chatting away there. Hopefully the internet has not dropped. What did I want to chat about as well? I have here, when we were talking about different paints, I've been starting to mess around with some of the Panzer colours, Panzer Aces colours from Vallejo. But this touches on what you were talking about as well, where it's just you buy a set and it's just straightforward. You don't have to do any thinking.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking to buy a lot of Vallejo paints and switch over to Vallejo. But you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, right, if I buy that paint, what am I going to highlight it with? And this is where I'm finding sets like this are pretty handy, because it's literally, it'll come with paints and you'll do a bit of painting with it. And the set will be like, it'll come with, pretty much just tells you to start off with. It's like there's dark rubber and light rubber for doing your tires. So it's like, put that paint on first, bash that one on second as your highlight. And then it's like, if you want to paint up tank tracks, it's like, this one's the primer. Then you have dark rust, light rust, and a little bit of yellow rust. Boom. The only thing I don't like about this set is I would have liked if they put a metal in, but they've got I think this is more aimed towards the scale modeler, so they've got like a red tail light colour and a green tail light German colour. So they're aimed for like German colours, but it'll work out for me because I do blood axes. I'll do camo schemes and stuff, but I give them a bash.
And that's what I like. One of the things I like about Citadel's system is that they have loads of publications out there that show you what is the right base coat, what's the next layer up, and then if you want to go extra highlight and stuff like that, there's that much information out there that you can't go wrong with it, really. If you want to follow a set scheme, it's hard to go wrong with it, I'd say.
Definitely. Well, I think that's all that's sort of missing. Like, I painted up I was messing around and I did up the front tire on this bike.
Yeah.
So it's like that's the rubber colours, and it's just sort of doing the step by step. So it's like, I think that's what Games Workshop are really good at, is just putting it to you in a very easily digestible format where it's like, throw that on first, throw a wash on it, throw that highlight on.
Yeah.
Boosh. I think a lot of companies could really sort of benefit from having that same sort of approach. So yeah, I was messing around with that paint set, and I was enjoying it. It's good results. Don't be afraid to experiment.
Nice one.
With other paint sets. So yeah, I'd advise that. Nice acrylic paints. Good crack. Good bit of crack there.
One thing when the contrast paints came out, it encouraged me to do was start looking at inks and stuff like that, because people were comparing them a lot to inks and what you do with inks. So I started looking at inks, but I've not bought any. I was just looking for fast ways to paint orc flesh and stuff like that, because I was using washes and glazes at one point just to get a quick result. But then the contrast paints came out, and I thought, oh great, they've got an orc flesh contrast paint or whatever it's called. So I thought that would be great, but for me, I don't like that colour. I prefer the some of the other greens. There's a Militarum green and a Plaguebearer flesh, and like getting a mixture of them two sort of seems to work for me a little bit better. But
yeah, I think the orc flesh is that one.
Skin, I think you had one on there before. Actually. Yeah, you've got them on the screen still, haven't you?
Yeah,
yours are quite almost drab. Some of them aren't they?
My lads, I use for the skin tone. I use Death World Forest as their base color. So
Yeah.
these lads aren't even finished. So these are like Death World Forest base color.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'll whack them with an old Italian camo shade. That's the stage they're at now. And then the final stage, they look like this guy kind of, which is like Elysian green
Yeah.
for the final skin. But
Yeah, it
then
looks
yeah,
like it's daft to say a green skin tone is more natural, but it looks like a more natural sort of tone.
yeah, they're kind of they're more muted sort
Yeah.
of. Yeah, they
Yeah,
are more natural tones.
I like really. I don't like a bright green that you see on some people's, but it's each to their own again.
But I think that's the beautiful thing with orcs is there's no right way to paint them. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like you could have red orcs, you can have blue orcs. Like here's a miniature that one of me mates painted up, and even his skin is different on even the skin he's done on this one is different. I'll see if I can zoom in and show you a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Even the tones are slightly different again. You know what I mean? This was painted a few years ago, so I can't remember off the top of my head. But you can see like there's nothing stopping you tonally from doing something like that yourself, where you have different greens in your army,
Exactly. Yeah.
different variation.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice
You
to
get
have.
all kinds of different skin tone in humans, so why wouldn't you in orcs as well?
Yeah, and if you ever look at like the way they did the Lord of the Rings films, they've got variation in them as well. They're
Yeah,
all depending on what region they come from and
and they lived in and all sorts.
different types of different hues of green, sort of brownish green, off yellowy green. So it doesn't all have to be the same. But for myself personally, I like to keep the skin sort of consistent, as it's the unifying color that I have across the army. If you know what I mean, it's the thing that sort of visually ties them together.
Yeah.
Because I do so many like mismatched uniforms and color schemes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Gee, the Hyper Sapiens giving out. Well, someone give this a thumbs down. Everyone remember to smash the like button. Don't worry about it. It's not the end of the world. We must have slagged off the Citadel paints too much. That's what it was, Dan.
It was me on Necron's Nick, was it? He wasn't.
That was, see, he was listening. It's like all this Necron hate I can't tolerate.
It might have been Steve-O, actually. He's fond of the Tim Boys, isn't he?
Oh, he is. I think he's a flayed one in the skies. That Steve-O. He's admitted to having Necrons in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I think he just wears the orc skin so he can camouflage in with the rest of us. You know what I mean?
That's it.
One of them flayed ones. And you have to be able to have a laugh with the lads. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Don't want to take it too serious. I do find that amusing. People going crazy over Warhammer. They can lose their nut. Did you? Come on, we'll go on to a bit of a controversial topic here. Did you read about the Custodes lore that a lot of people were unhappy about?
It was that, yeah.
Oh god, I couldn't get over that. That was
madness.
What? For anyone who's watching and doesn't know, there was a bit of lore that came out. What was it? It was in April, Dan, wasn't it?
They release on the community side. They release like short stories every Monday, don't they?
Yeah, a little bit of a short story, and this one in particular was about a Custodes transporting Primaris to a planet that was to be reinforced, wasn't it? From what I gather.
Yeah,
that's
right.
They get there, and I think the guys that the Primaris is supposed to be reinforcing, the chapter, half of them have turned traitor or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So the Custodes guy pretty much turns around and goes, "You're guilty by association. Put down your weapons."
Yeah.
And the Primaris deal was like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? And then it all goes pear-shaped very quickly. And a lot of the fans really didn't like that. It's like
it was stupid that the Custodes to a lot of them. I'm in a Custode group on Facebook as well, and some of the people in there were saying it made them seem stupid. But ultimately, the Custodes they follow they follow the word of the Imperium, the word of the Emperor. And as far as they're concerned, like the High Councils of Terror and stuff, they are the Emperor's voice, and so on and so forth. So if a decision made by the Imperium is as good as being a decision made by the Emperor. So they follow orders. That's what they do. But some people were just saying it just made them seem stupid. But the whole Imperium set up to me, this is what the Imperium set up to do anyway, just to follow orders, no matter how stupid they are and how unfair they might seem and stuff like that. So it's essentially a fascist society. It's not a pleasant place to live. So it makes sense. To me, it does anyway. Maybe not, obviously not to some people, but to me, it makes a fair bit of sense that they would just act the way they did in the story.
And I'd agree with you. Yeah, like they're not. I'm not big into the Space Marines and the Custodes and all them, but I know enough to know that when the Inquisition or such brands you as a traitor, it doesn't matter if you are or not. It's like the 40k universe works under the premise of you're guilty, whether you like it or not. As soon as you're accused, you're guilty.
There's precedent in the law already about that, and then it doesn't seem to be anything new to me.
No, I think maybe it was a case of a lot of people didn't quite weren't familiar with like how they'd roll.
Yeah.
A lot of the new players maybe. Like how I'm trying to think like how could we sort of like avoid sort of that sort of type of thing. But I guess it's folk have to sort of read into the lore of their faction and not just sort of use memes as their source of lore, I suppose. But
I'm not a fan of memes myself. I go through stages of just blocking people that constantly post memes, or blocking notifications about their content and stuff like that. Not blocking them, but I don't like seeing memes. They really do my head in because most of them I don't find that funny. Maybe it's because I'm not as into the lore as they are in, or a certain bit of lore, or I've not read a certain book or something like that. So a lot of the time I find them not very funny. So I just go through getting rid of memes off my Facebook feed. And thankfully nowadays I don't see that many until I go into a group and then start scrolling up, and then I'll see them. But I don't get notifications saying someone's posted in whatever group, and then I go in and it's just a meme.
Yeah. It depends. Like I think they can be a diamond in the rough when there's memes, but the majority of them are just chaff.
Yeah, that's it. There's that many out there. It's you could say there's something for everyone, but a lot of for me, it's not worth going through all the chaff to find the diamond.
The diamond in the rough. It's like, nah, mate. Sorry.
Yeah,
not my cup of tea. Yeah. No, I can get that myself. Yeah. Some groups that can happen to them as well. It's like once someone posts something like that, then
it just goes off and just dumps all the favorite memes there.
Yeah, all of the
in a particular post there. So someone posts one, and then people post them all in response, and then they're all linked in a way, and you can sort of trace the history of it back to the original post. But when it's just like post after post on a certain group, it just becomes crazy, in my opinion.
Yeah, it can get a bit out of hand. It's especially if you join a group and it's like, I don't know, orc conversions or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just sort of turns into meme central. Now some people, find it entertaining, but I can also understand how folk will get annoyed after a while, and they'll just be like, when you join a group for a specific thing and then it gets hijacked into something else, it's like, well, what's the point?
Yeah, it just becomes, for me, it became irritating. That's why I started turning off notifications and stuff like that. So it's some people get a lot out of it, though, I'm sure.
But not Dan.
Not Danskull.
Oh, gee, the Hyper Sapien. Let's not mention Henry Cavill. That was bloody ridiculous. Yeah, it was, mate.
People. Maybe that was a lot of new custody players all of a sudden that don't know necessarily a lot about the law, slightly offended by the fact that they went and killed a load of potentially loyal sons and stuff.
Yeah. Ah, well, welcome to the Imperium. It's not all picnics and buttercups.
Yeah.
But do you think that's sort of lost in the lore currently, like the whole grimdark of 40k? Because I can remember in like third edition, in and around when I got interested in 40k, that there's all manner of like really sort of like grimdark stuff. Like you'd be looking at the Dark Elder stuff, and there's people like impaled and grappled on hooks and all this type of stuff, and I was like, Jesus, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, to a certain extent, they're turning away from that sort of stuff. But then you see some of the new Slanesh models and stuff. Have you seen the guy with his spinal cords are
It's
like
like
strung up in a harp kind of
harp,
thing?
yeah, his tendons.
There's elements of that horror sort of universe there still, isn't there? But yeah, I think for a good few years they turned away from that sort of stuff, definitely. But potentially with I say the new CEO, he's not that new anymore, but with the CEO that's in charge now, potentially he's gone back to having, from what you hear, he's been into the hobby years ago himself anyway. So they've gone more back down the line of taking a few more risks with things like that. But they've definitely they don't look at the kids' adventure books. The catering for kids, but in a slightly different room. So here's the kids' room. Come in here, have a look at all this stuff, and then here's the adults' room. We're not seeing any not seeing anything extreme, but
There's no
the
demonettes of Slanesh prancing around in the kids' room, is what you're telling me.
yeah, basically, yeah. It seems like potentially they're keeping the kids in one area and keeping adults in another until they're old enough. The kids are old enough to see some of that other stuff. But I don't know. Only time will tell, really, with something like that.
Oh, this is it. But like, what age were you when you first got into the hobby?
I was about 12, but I didn't really get into the lore because I didn't read books back then. Um, I read there was one like short story in the second edition Eldar Codex that I really enjoyed, and occasionally I'd read like a short story, but I just didn't have the attention span to read a whole book.
Yeah.
So when I first got into the hobby, I barely played as well. I barely play now; nothing's changed. But yeah, I played a couple of games when I was first into it and tried to paint the miniatures as best I could, but not very well. And yeah, it was for me, like I was around 12 when I got into the hobby. I was just starting in high school, and one of my mates that grew up on the same road as he went to a private school, and everyone at the private school was playing it. So he got me into it, and then my other mate that now lives down in Derby, he was in my form class at school, and he noticed I was reading a magazine one day. I think it was like the Start Collecting Games Workshop magazine from years ago.
The little pamphlet
I
ones.
was reading that, so he started talking to me about it as well. And then we had a few games over the years. And then back, a few years ago, when I'd been out of the hobby for a long while, I was down visiting him after he'd just had his first kid. And he mentioned that he'd been on the Games Workshop website recently. And I was like, I've been on the Games Workshop website recently as well, just to check out the miniatures. And we were both like, both of our minds were blown about how different the miniatures were now and how much more dynamic they looked and stuff. And that was in 2012 or something. So yeah, they've come on a long way since. And some people would say they're not as good now, but some people don't like the CAD design stuff, do they? But other people, obviously, for me, it's a more dynamic miniature. So surely there's a lot of good to be said about it. But they seem to be going away from gaming pieces and more towards cabinet pieces.
Yeah, I do. I do find myself thinking like that more and more when I'm looking at these really massive miniatures they're making, especially for the likes of Age of Sigmar, where it's like I don't know what it's called, but it's the vampire count sort of like ghostly carriage thing, and it's like horses, and it's on a stand, and it's all spindly, and I just look at miniatures like that and I'm going, how in the hell are you supposed to transport that to your local gaming club?
Yeah,
You
you're
know what
going
I
to
mean?
struggle in one piece.
It's like, there's no way, mate. There's no way.
Hmm. Absolutely.
I just, yeah. It's like, I can understand having display pieces, but I think in my mind, they're like, I suppose it depends. Each person will, we keep saying this. The game's different for everyone. I'm sure that they're all bleeding sick of this cliche by now. But
Yeah.
to me, they're gaming pieces first, and then sort of uh, miniature projects secondly. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Hmm.
Like, I buy the miniatures to play the game,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
but I'm sure there's other people who just paint and don't play
Uh,
the game at all. So that's probably aim more for them.
hmm.
Orc stuff is saying there's nout in the orc range now that are dynamic as the old Mad Boys. The old Mad Boys. You talking second era there? Got rid of the Mad Boys a long time ago. Long time ago. So you came back in around what, 2012?
Yeah, around 2012, I started creeping my way back in the door, I think, and then some of the orc stuff that was like I hated the orcs in the 90s. I hated the look of them and stuff. Some people look back at them fondly, but to me, and most of them miniatures, there's the occasional one where I'm like, maybe I'll get that if I see it on eBay or something. But most of the orc miniatures in the 90s, I didn't really like. Like I got the second edition starter box, and I've still got some of them old orc boys.
The Goths, yeah.
Yeah, the Goths and the Gretchen with the las guns and stuff. But uh, and I paint them up occasionally. I painted up a squad of five of them, or not a squad, but I painted up five of the Gretchen just in like camo,
Damn
just for
kids.
a kill team one day. I thought I might as well paint them. I've got them sat there and get some painted up for a game of kill team, and then yeah. So a lot of the old orc miniatures rather, I didn't like, but then when I got back into the hobby, the range was completely different from the one I'd left behind. So orcs drew my attention a lot more.
So
A lot.
the aesthetics have changed a lot. So that sort of ties into what I was saying about, liking the visuals of something. How I found it kind of hard with other games that if you don't like the miniatures, you're not gonna, you know what I mean? You're not gonna be invested in it.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah.
That's why it's always generally a good piece of advice for someone they're asking, oh, what army should I get into first? It's like, go through the army book,
Yeah.
see what you like the look of, because you're
Mm-hmm.
going to be painting a lot of it,
Yeah.
and then go from there. You know?
Yeah. One of the things that drew me to the Eldar was a variety of all the different aspect temples. You can do them in a different color scheme, kind of thing. So that was what, especially in the 90s when everything was garishly painted. That was,
Yeah, the red phase, yeah.
oh yes, look at all the color, all these bright colors. I'll have some of them green ones, some of them bone ones, some of them dark ones. Oh, it's going to be amazing. But I didn't realize I couldn't paint.
Well, it's just a case of practice, yourself. One of my mates is still, my mate Craig, who I used to play a lot in, shout out to Craig. Craig normally watches.
Mm-hmm.
One of my mates, he's into his Eldar, but he's been into them since back in the day,
Yeah,
and you can see how there's been like changes in the Eldar, but you can also see going through the miniatures that there's still like a key visual that they had, like
yeah.
the visuals of the Eldar were established pretty early on. They've
Mm-hmm.
changed a little bit, but you can still like look at Rogue Trader stuff and go, that's Eldar, and it still fits
Yeah.
into still fits into an army. But yeah, I can specifically remember fighting against his Eldar, and he'd like to use some of the older Rogue Trader stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's always nice to have a look at, and I like the Elder what's it? The Dreadnought, whatever the bleeding Dreadnought is. Is it right? It's not a Right Knight, is it?
Lord.
Right Lord. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that older ones. The one with the
Oh, the
long
longer
bubbly
head. Yeah.
head. Yeah, and it's got like its big gauntlets, and it's all like super thin. I've
Yeah.
always liked that miniature. I always thought
Mm-hmm.
it looked cool. He has a few of them knocking around,
Nice.
and then doing up. What was he always painting? He was always painting up Harlequins in like the lozenge pattern.
Yeah.
It would take a year and a day, but it was like fair play to me. It looks the part.
there's that dedication, isn't it? It's impressive.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I've tried it myself, and back when Lord of the Rings came out, I started going in Games Workshop again because I think I was working at Tesco at the time. Oh no, it was before I was working at Tesco, but I saw White Dwarf in Tesco on a shelf or something, and I saw they were doing Lord of the Rings miniatures. So I started going in Games Workshop again then. And then occasionally, every few months or so, I'd pop into a Games Workshop. And then when they released the Metal Harlequin models in about 2007, maybe, like they were painted up all in different colours, not like now where they're all in like I can't remember what they call them, a mask. Yeah, they're all in like a mask colour now, so it's a unified colour scheme. But back in 2007, they were still all in different colours, and I was like, yeah, they look amazing. So I got some of them. And a girl I was seeing at the time, she was doing art at college. So she started painting them. And I was like, that's amazing. And I couldn't even attempt a diamond pattern on them back then. But like now I'd be more tempted to try it, but it wouldn't be anywhere near as good as you see in White Dwarf on the website or anything.
But it's just down to practice, Dan, you know yourself. It's just down to the old practice. It's like with me with the camo schemes. Like I can even look back at some of the first camo schemes I did, and it's absolutely bleeding terrible because it just looks like brushstrokes.
Yeah.
But then I'll even find that walking through a mob of 30 orc boys, I'll start painting camouflage at the beginning, and I won't be as happy with it. And then by the time I get to the last orc boy, you'll have gotten your eye in, you'll have sorted out your patterns and that type of thing. So it's all about investing into the time and getting through that learning curve. You know,
definitely. Yeah, got to agree.
Hugh is tormenting Hugh in the old comment section. Gee, the Hyper Sapien, he's a filthy pansy lover in the skies. He's saying Eldar do look dope. They do look dope on the end of a chopper, mate. That's where they belong. Bleeding pansies. Brack is showing up. What's the crack, Brack? Ed Vincent is saying, I think said that the monoposes is taking over. Yeah, I'd agree with you. We're starting to get more monopose miniatures.
Yeah.
I think they're getting more detailed, would you say?
Yeah, they're getting more detail. So in many ways, that makes them easier to paint because you slap a bit of paint on a base coat and then you slap a wash on. And then, they can look almost complete. But yeah, there's definitely, you're seeing more and more monopose. Like you look at the Age of Sigmar stuff at the minute, the starter stuff, and it's all plug and play. What do you call it? Easy to build stuff. The two, like the stuff you're getting in Mortal Realms, most of it has been easy to build. There's been like one model, I think, so far, and one issue 14 now. And apart from the terrain, all the models you've got with it are easy to build.
I could understand with the magazines though, because they really are aimed for people who have no idea what the hobby is. So give them like push fit miniatures on that front. I can totally get, and especially on the starter sets. But I think for orc players, it sort of saps away at one of the linchpins of the hobby for us, which is kind of like kit bashing. You know what I mean? We want multi-part kits with bits and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
I do see why they're going more monopose. It is so they can get more crisp details. So I can understand why some folks absolutely love it. But as an orc player, I can't say I'm a fan.
Yeah, I was watching Kirioth's range review of the orcs the other day. I think Steve-O might have mentioned it last time. It was you and him on the Two Bald Knobs. And Kirioth was saying, I think last time he spoke about orcs, saying they're in dire need of updates and new models and stuff like that. He said the Orc Boys kit needs to be updated because it's an old kit. But then on his range review, he's looking at it, and I think he's come round to the idea that maybe, for me, the Orc Boy kit doesn't need updating. So I think he was coming round to the idea that maybe it doesn't need updating because it's so interchangeable with the other kits and stuff. That's one of the key things about the Orc line is that, Orc players like to swap things out between different units. They're not as rigid a fighting force as Space Marines or as Eldar forces and stuff like that. So, you're more likely to find a boy with a rocket that belongs on a tank buster than in other forces. A weapon in the wrong kind of unit, stuff like that.
Yeah. Well,
so sense narratively, at least, to build your models that way. I'd say.
Yeah, but like I think orcs are the only sort of army where you could literally, if you buy a box set of orcs, you can make most of their units out of it. Because like you could make stone boys out of them if you make backpacks for them. You could make commandos out of them if you give them like silencers and like berets and backpacks. The Luta and Borna kit, you know what I mean? You just add more boys' bodies into that, and you get more bits out of that kit.
Yeah.
You know, you could save up the knob torsos if you were super cheap and make knobs units out of them that way with the power claws. Like they're super versatile in that regards. And
Yeah.
I don't think there's any other army that really can do that. You know what I mean?
No, can't think of any. Not easily anyway.
No,
I mean,
no.
if you're really a dab with your Plasticraic and stuff like that, maybe, but I wouldn't want the hassle.
Orc stuff is saying was interchangeable with fantasy orcs. That's true as well. We used to have more diversity. We used to be able to mix and mash with the fantasy orc kits as well.
Yeah.
Which was super handy. Meandering Shade is saying there's some lovely detail in modern GW kits. Yeah, but I miss having loads of separate parts for conversions.
Yeah.
Tend to have to completely build a model and then take a razor saw to it afterwards these days. Yeah, a lot of the newer buggies and stuff, you're not left with many bits left over, and they're very sort of mono build.
Yeah.
Like you were working on some buggies yourself, Dan, and how are you finding it? Like,
I think they're great kits to build and that, but yeah, they're limited in terms of the way you can build them. It's I think Dreb was saying on one of his streams, I think he was saying you can't even swap the wheels out on some of them, and it's crazy that, because that's just such a simple thing. You'd be able to make it easy to do, but like on the, I think is it the custom booster blaster?
Yeah, this one here.
Wheels are molded into the back of it.
Yeah, the back chassis, those back wheels are molded into those panels. So, I mean, you could cut them out, but it's going to be an absolute pain to then try and re-detail all that stuff there. So it's just, I don't know.
Still in the end.
Yeah. Now, you know what I mean? You could get some good bits out of it, like engine blocks and stuff like that, but you're literally having to take saw blades to stuff to take it apart and chop and change it. There's some really nice details to them. But then there's, you know what I mean? You're seeing laziness as well, the underneath of them, because they're going on bases. You get voids like this.
Yeah.
You know, some people be like, you're nitpicking Skarnir. I'm like, but look at the truck kit. If you pick up the truck kit and turn it upside down and look at it at any angle, there's detail there. Everywhere. Everywhere there's detail. You know what I mean? There's none of this. Cutting corners, I tell you. Cutting corners, Dan, they don't make them like they used to me.
No, not like back in the day.
Not like back in my day. Back in my day. Definitely. Yeah, but they're nice though. They're nice miniatures. I think you'd have like one of each. It's like it goes back to the collector in me wanting one of each at least for the collection. But after that, like I think the Snazwagon, I think is not this. That's the Squig Buggy. Your Snazwagon. See, I don't even have them all fully built. What happened to me is I started to build them, realised you're gonna have to do them in sub assemblies, and then it takes me a year and a day to paint anything. So now I've got like 5 buggies and a trike, all in partially assembled in sub assemblies, but not quite fully there. You know what I mean?
I made the mistake of putting mine together and then trying to paint them.
Oh, me. Oh.
To the boys inside, it's like,
I'd say so. I could only imagine then, because I've had that problem before. Where you know what I mean? You do those type of things with like these bleeding looters. They do my nothing.
Yeah.
Having built them, trying to get in to the skin with the paintbrush, with the harness around, is an absolute pain in the ass. So it's a case of I'm now having to, especially up and around the shoulders, if there's any skin in and around the shoulder area, I'm having to paint the skin and then touch up afterwards. So it's like, top advice to anyone who's making loot is like glue the harness together, but don't glue it onto the body.
Yeah.
Paint them separate, because Jesus, it's an absolute torment. Right, we've about 20 minutes left. So we'll give it another 5 minutes on the old Discord and we'll go have a look then. I'll throw up a link again if anybody's doing any work in progress. Throw it up into the Discord, go into the live stream work in progress over there, and we'll have a gander before we wrap things up. Have you been making much progress yourself there, Dan? I've managed to get a bit of wash onto these little boys here. Touched up the old paint.
I think I've done all right. I thought I was worried I'd just be too busy caught up in the chat and stuff like that, but I've actually done all right, I think.
Made a fair bit of progress.
But seem to be getting some on the model.
That's always good news. That's it. But it's yeah, good chat, bit of painting done. Happy days, half the battle.
That is it.
There's some really nice work that the lads are printing up here. Looking forward to having a look at this. Jesus. Yeah. Oh, there's a fair few. We'll have a look. Jesus, you're being busy today, lads. I'll give you that much. Fair play. Fair play, fair play. We might actually pop over now and have a look. There's that much there going.
Fantastic.
So we'll jump over. What date is that from? That's the older ones. Yeah. Right. We'll jump over now and we'll have a look at the Discord. You could do a 3-ball knob show. Jeez, saying. Steve was saying he's basically finished his 3 dreads. Fair play. Fair play getting ahead. Right, so we'll jump over to the Discord work in progress.
Lovely.
Boop. And we'll have a look and see how that's going. Right, so who's got what? We have, this is from today, so May the 3rd. We have Gorka Marcos. He said his current project is 15 Evil Sons Born of Boys. I'll be driving the live stream. So this is what he was working on. So he posted it up for the live stream. Yeah, nice. He's got some old minis in there as well. I see the Mechaniacs from Gorka Morka. He's got like the 3rd edition Born of Boys that used to be bolted on to the standard units. What's this guy over here? He looks like older again. This one's like Rogue Trader's second sort of like mech, I think. And then there's a few other bits and pieces. Normal Born of Boys. Yeah, nice. Nice. Have you looked at any of the new sort of subcultures yet yourself, Dan? For
no, as I don't play an awful lot, I've not looked massively. I don't get too deep into the rule stuff on my channel, that's for sure. Just because I feel like half the people that are watching, they know a lot more than me, so they're not really learning anything from me. I can offer my opinion on it, even though it's like not necessarily the best informed opinion. But I've not looked that deeply into it at the minute. Something to do definitely when I get hold of the book.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I can understand. It can influence how people build units, but this is a nice mix mash, nice mashup. Because one of the subcultures in the new rules, you can get some decent use out of the Born of Boys mobs. So that's what I'm thinking here. We're seeing Born of Boys getting used. We have Navani next. He's trying to finish his Tuska conversion.
Oh yeah.
So he's looks like he started with a Demon Prince here, and he's doing a bit of work to get him all sorted up to do a Tuska Warboss. There's been a couple of lads now who've done up in the Orc community group, 40k Orc community group. If you're not in there, get your ass over there. We're all posting our stuff up in the 40k Orc community group on Facebook. There's a few lads that are doing Tuska builds, so I can see where he's going with it.
Yeah, I keep hearing. I've been watching the GW Twitch streams through the week, and they keep getting Tuska mentions in there in the chat there as well.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of people talking about Tuska lately. I find it. G is saying I need a Bloodthirster axe for my Tuska. That's right. G was also doing one as well. So it's a nice basis. That the Demon Prince is a nice basis to work off of. I've seen some really kick-ass war bosses as well coming from it. Gear Guts is saying, being on a Blood Axe trend recently, apparently getting ready for a big release of all sorts of guard-themed units. So for those who don't know, Gear Guts does a Patreon, which I'm subscribed to myself, where he does 3D designs for orcs. And he's doing some Blood Axe ones here. So if you're subscribed to his Patreon, You can get those designs for the month that are available. And if you don't have a 3D printer, he does have a store. I think it's based in either the States or Canada, so the shipping might be a little bit pricey to get it over in the UK or Ireland. But yeah, there's some nice miniatures, some nice designs. So he's doing all these designs himself.
Some lovely designs, isn't there? Have you got your printer now?
I've got a 3D printer. I just haven't put it together again. You know what I mean? It's like the airbrush stand. It's like I have it. I just haven't set out the time to get the setup up and running.
And you need to set aside for it so you can have a few reviews and stuff.
I had one beforehand, and it took me like 4 or 5 hours, I think, to sit down and make sure it was all level and done. And
yeah,
I think that one went arseways, so I got the replacement, and it's still in the box. We have Morton. Morton is working on some looted Tau battle suits. I'm liking the terrain he's doing on the base. Won't the Bloodthirst Arcs be too big for it? Nah, don't worry about it. I am liking the base. There's a lot of chopping and changing going on here. It's looking interesting though.
Yeah, it's looking good, man.
It is looking good. Nice use of guitar string, I take it, yeah? Guitar string. Very nice. This one looks cool. Nice bit of character to them. From the front angle. I'm not familiar with a lot of the Tau bits, but I do like what's going on here.
Yeah.
Those look sweet.
Is that guitar wire on there as well?
Think so. It looks like guitar wire.
Mm-hmm.
Morton's in the chat. Feel free to give it a shout, Morton. There is a bit of a delay, but that's streaming on YouTube, I'm afraid. It does look like guitar wire. We have Grumpy Viking / Dim Reaper / the Hobby Git, and he's working on Corn Demons, the Bloodthirsters of Corn. He's been gluing these gits together. Why aren't you putting grots together, Grumpy Viking? I'm bitterly disappointed here. He's busy building demons and what looks like zombicide miniatures. Yep, he's been busy on the building. Definitely been keeping busy. Keep chipping away there. We have Renegade. He's made a milliput bomb squig. Now that looks hilarious. I like it.
I'm looking forward for it to come up in my feed, eh?
Oh no, it's bleeding.
I can just see a tiny image of it behind the demons.
It's taken a year and a day.
There we go.
Yeah, the bomb squigs. It looks good though. I'm liking it. Yeah.
Massive hammer and its rocket.
It's got the rocket bomb. It looks like do you know what the bomb on the end of it reminds me of? It's like the small boy out of Fallout. So the little nuclear bombs, the nuclear.
Yeah. I'm aware of it. I'm not very into my gaming, but I'm aware of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cracking job. Yeah, that looks cool, man. I like it. I like it. It's better than any of my skills. So here we go with Hans. Hans is at it again. Hans is cracking on with his Rat Ogres. For those who don't know, Hans Gruber is our what would you say, local Skaven clan lord. He's been painting Skaven for quite some time, and they are absolutely cracking paint jobs. I'm really liking the green effect he's got on the Warpstone. Skin tones are always lovely. Always lovely.
Nice.
Cracking job. Absolutely cracking. So don't be afraid to share your projects, folks. It doesn't have to be Yorkie as long as you're getting a bit of paint done. These can be appreciated. I can definitely see how people would go for these guys. I could see if you like the painting is really top notch, but I could definitely see if you did some Plasticraic fists on this, you could make a war boss with 2 massive gauntlets or claws or something like that. They have really good potential.
Someone bashes up with the gas kit.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Really would be interesting to see what can be done. I've no idea what the hell this kit in the back is, but alright. It's like a brain boy of sorts for Skaven. Even the tail. Look at the tail, man. The
Mm-hmm.
colour transitions are really nice.
Oh,
They
is it
look
the little
lovely.
looking fella? He's the brains, isn't he? And he drives the big guy, I think.
Brains is a sort of like a Master Blaster combination we've got going on there.
Yeah. I remember when those kits came out. Yeah, I was reading it in White Dwarf.
This one's got little cannon launchers. Cracking paint jobs. I have to say, I really do like the skin. Ah, there we go. There's another brain controller in the back. Oh, alright. They must have changed, because I can only remember like Rat Ogres from the days of yore, and they didn't really have any backpacks of brain boys.
Yeah.
Unless they're like used for a psychic charge or something like that, but I'm not keeping up to date with the Age of Sigmar stuff myself.
Mm-hmm.
They could definitely make, you could, like, these are cracking potential for war, but especially this one. Look at this, Gatling hands. Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic.
He's asking to be turned into a war boss. Absolutely cracking work. To make excellent war boss kit, just send us the Skaven bits, says Hans. No bother, me. No bother.
I think local GW manager, I think he's got a war boss converted up out of one of these fellas. I've got a feeling.
What base did they come on? What's that look like? That looks like 10, 20. Is it like a 80 mil? No.
Got to be like the Dreadnought base, I think.
Probably, yeah. Looks about Dreadnought size. And then that's the brain boy for him. Oh, it's a little Skaven. I see it now, the detail. That's hilarious. And we have G, the Hyper Sapien. He's been working on the lipstick for his pain boy.
Fantastic.
Fair play. Nice work on the lenses, mate. I remember posting up in the 40k orc community about the eye being so small. It's a really strange sculpt, that pain boy.
Yeah.
It's like the Marmite of the current sort of orc collection. Either you love the thing or you bleeding hate it, like.
Yeah. I think for me, I quite like a lot of it, but then it's just the hand I don't like. So if I can just swap that hand out, I think I'm going to have no problem with the kit, really. But it's like, I don't really like the Mad Dog Rotsnick kit either.
The old one.
Kit. But it's mainly the only thing I don't like about it is the claw. I think the claw looks stupid because it looks like he's checking his nails or something.
Yeah, he's just sort of like looking at his hand in wonderment or something. I don't know. I don't mind the claw hand. I think that's a nice detail. It's my issue with the miniature is it's soft. Some of the detail goes a bit soft in certain areas.
Yeah.
Where you're trying to like figure out when you're painting it where like the grot's foot begins and where his back begins. You know what I mean? It's like it's a bit soft in those areas. But yeah, nice layering on the old face. Some nice highlights, and I really like the lens effects. They're really nice, cracking. Some very nice paintwork. Cracking job, G. Cracking job. Stig of the Dump is working on a Beomdaka Snazwagon. This is looking mint. I'm liking it. Cork base, nice desert theme. Nice collage as well. Look at this, Stig. You're outdoing the rest of the kits. I have to say that to you. Fair play. Nice bit of weathering as well.
Oh, it's looking good, man.
It's more of a sort of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle sort of green going on here, but it looks the part.
Yeah.
Nice bit of work on the flame bottle there.
Contrasts nicely with the red on it.
It does, yeah. It does. It looks nice. It does look nice. That white bit there popping out as well. It's weathered nicely as well. Yeah, that looks sweet, man. Needs Steve-O's eyelashes. What he gets on about. Then we have the red mech. Way. We've another. There's quite a few of these knocking around now. Lads who are putting the massive cannons on their battle wagons, like the Forge Wool kit. I have the Forge Wool kit myself. They're a good laugh. Looks like the barrel off of the Baneblade kit. The Turbo Destructo Laser or whatever it's called. The big gun. You know, the big one. The big massive one.
It almost looks like, I don't think it is, but it almost looks like some of the Sector Mechanicus scenery. I've not seen that barrel on the Baneblade myself, but yeah, the big one.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's because it's the rivets. It's
Yeah,
typical Imperium. It's got a skull on the side. It's got some rivets.
yeah,
You
that's
know
the
what I
way.
mean? I think it's only because I own this kit. I know exactly where it comes from. But yeah, I could understand how someone's like, "Was there a sewage pipe on your tank?" It's like,
Mm.
no, it looks the part, man. I like it. I like it. I love how I like this bash of it because it's like the gun is literally like the length of the vehicle. That is cracking, man. Nice paintwork as well. Oh, gee, he's showing us a bit more. Ah, crafty. He's left the arm off for painting. Smart man. Yeah, definitely smart man. That's how he's able to get into the face and get a lot of detail done. Cracking. I'm looking forward to what he does with the old syringes. What what effect he gets on the old liquids.
Yeah,
It'll be
it's a tricky thing
interesting.
to achieve, isn't it, with the liquids? I tried it on painted up a Death Guard miniature from the Conquest thing. He's got a big backpack on with liquid sloshing around in it. I've
Hmm.
tried it myself. I've not done anywhere near as well as some people managed to make it look, but I'm pretty happy with the result myself.
That's all that matters, mate. This is. You remember I was saying about the contrast paints and mucking around with them? That's what I did with my one.
Yeah,
Is any of these parts I just did like the contrast paint to sort of make it look like liquid. It's alright. It's not great. Just something to experiment with. Stick it at the
exactly.
dump. Finished a week or so ago, but I've ran out of orcs to paint. One
Oh
for
man,
Big Mek Danskull. So there you go. There's one of Stig's miniatures that he's done up there. Is Wah Banner Knob.
oh
Now
fantastic.
an old Deaf Skull for Danskull.
That's lovely. That.
Yeah, it's not a bad paint job. You know, I even have to agree with that one. I can't slight it. I am liking the snotling on the top. That is mint. Nice little
Yeah.
touch. That's hilarious looking. That's really nice, dude. Cracking job. Nice,
Fantastic.
nice checkers. Nice.
They're neat, aren't they? They've outlined as well, black outline on them.
Yeah, yeah. Like the checker walk is cracking. Absolutely cracking. Really is. And I like that he's put the tusk on the bottom as well.
Yeah.
It's a nice contrast in that goes in with the white on the shoulder pads. Nice little touches. I like that. Little
Yeah.
Space Marine head on the top and even the white on the gun and the blue. It's all tied together visually. Looks really nice.
hmm
Looks the part, bud. DM is still making more bloodletters of corn. He's keeping busy. Fair play. They're all gardening his philosophy and science books and sociology. Brack the war boss is cracking away on his Wasbomb blaster jet. He's another lad doing a bit of the checkered work. He's gone with
Yeah.
the turquoise and white. So see another filthy deaf skull, Dan. They're all crawling out of the woodwork now.
I know there's more and more every day, isn't there?
It's like they're multiplying. Like
Yeah.
Jesus.
He's painted this one, I think, to look like the Pale Orcs paint job, hasn't he? And it's like he's looted it from the Pale Orc.
Oh, because it's green. I see some sneaky looted shenanigans going on here.
hmm
Absolutely sneaky. I'm loving it. This is cracking. Yeah, that's cool, man. That's cool. Nice paint job. Essex Boys. I've only subscribed to the Essex Boys channel there recently. This lad has got a lot of stuff painted up. Fair play to him.
Yeah. He had a channel. He's had the channel for a while, hasn't he? But it's been
Yeah.
inactive for. He's only like past few weeks. He's become reactive again. Reactive.
Well, I suppose you could say he's become reactive again. He's starting to react and get hobby painted. But fair play. Yeah, go check him out if you've not checked out the Essex Boys channel.
Yeah, some good content on that. I love the way he does his paint guides, or like the way he painted it. So he does it like it starts like a story, like the war boss has gone to a mech and asked him to get
Giving out. Yeah.
painted, and then he talks it through like it's a story, like with a Cockney or voice kind of thing.
Yep. Definitely a channel to check out. And more checkered work. The lads are doing well. Fair play to you. They're doing well, the old checkers. Cracking. Nice bit of weathering as well on the panels, on the base. Nice progress, man. It's looking good. I'm
Good
liking
stuff.
it. Good stuffs. Logi Cheku. We'll just call you Logi. He's working on his flash kits. Nice. Very nice. He's gone for more muted tones with the old skin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm liking the texture on the rim. I didn't think I would. Normally I keep them black, but I can see. I could definitely see. Yeah, it looks good. Try a landscape picture next time, mate. So try turning your phone sideways so we can see more. We want to see more.
Yeah.
But yeah, cracking job. Keep
Nice.
chipping away, man. Keep chipping away. And then we have the red mech. What is this? This is
Contraption.
this is one of them Gene Stealer cultist quads, is it? Or is it? Is it? Is it? See, I don't know the Gene Stealer cultist quad kits to know if it's definitely one of them. But this looks hilarious. I like this. It's like a Death Killer Wartrike proxy, maybe. The red mech. You'll have to pipe up and tell us what exactly it is. But it's
Isn't it?
it's nice. I like how the white contrasts. Like
Yeah.
the white really pops, grabs your eye. It's a good start, man. It's a good start. Plenty of DACA. Hot Wheels Orc style. So folks are saying. Steve-O's heading off. Good night, Steve-O.
No,
Take
mate.
it easy. Yeah, this looks cool. I've saw that Gene Stealer cultist stuff and I always thought it was cracking. The Pale Orc, my god. He's been working on his Death Killer Wartrike. More looted Death Copters, bits of Death Dread, bits of Truck, Assault Cannons, bits of Necron gun. My days. Oh, this is I can see what this is now that there's poor Gretchen being sucked up into it.
Shock attack on the back.
Yeah, Big Mek on shock attack gun bike. Let's see what you've done here. He's absolutely stuffed the gun all full. I think that's a bit off of the DACA jet, one of the engine cowlings.
Yeah. I was just seeing the Gretchen being sucked in the back of it.
Stuffed in. Yeah, it literally looks like someone just stuffed them in. They're all being sucked in.
That's a
Yeah,
quality.
definitely. Cracking build, man. Cracking. And then he's got it up against a normal biker for comparison. Marcus is saying he had looted sniper rifles and I had looted mortars back in the day. Same here, man. Same here. That is cracking work, the Pale Orc. And I'm still oh, I see a sneaky snicker in the back there. I see what's coming up. Very nice. Very nice. Very subtle. But yeah, definitely. Kick-ass Big Mek with shock attack on. Nice Legends unit you've got there. Orc stuff. New boss. Has his coat now. Needs arms and hands next. Orc stuff's been working on this one. For anyone that doesn't know, Orc stuff does a lot of work with milliput sculpting. I think he had like a chopper gun. It's like a gun. It's like a gun rifle with an axe head on the bottom. Think of like the Custodes. They have like spears with bolters built in, don't they, or something like that, Dan?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the spear with a stone bolter strapped to the top of it, basically.
Yeah, so think of like a big shooter with like the axe head at the end of it. So something like that. This is what this will be in the end with Orc stuff. He says he hates sculpting hands. You're doing well so far, mate. You're doing well so far. Look forward to seeing it finished.
Cracking job.
Stig is just showing off now. He's just saying Death Skulls are the best. Nobody likes to show off, me. Nobody. Nice army though. Nice spread. Sweet. Nice bit of terrain as well. I like the terrain. Cool. Let's see. And Logic. Joe, the last one for today. He's working on his terrain as well. Oh, more of the flash gits. Nice. Nice. Very nice. We'll jump back, lads. I have to say, absolutely cracking work from the lot of yous. So that's it. We've sadly, Dan, we've come to the end of our live hobby hangout.
Been a good one. I'll do it again.
Yeah, well, definitely. We'll have you on again, Dan. Have you on to torment the rest of us. Get those filthy deaf skulls out of the woodwork again. They seem to be crawling out of everywhere to come out and say hello.
Yeah.
For our guest Danskull. It's been great crack. I've managed to get some wash done on me little boys. You've managed to get some progress done yourself.
Yeah, I'll share it on the Discord for your next stream, hopefully, so you can take a close look at it.
Sweet. So you'll throw up some pictures then. So yeah, we want to say thanks for everyone for joining the hangout. Thanks for commenting. If you're not subscribed already and you like the content you see, subscribe, hit the like button and bell buttons and all the buttons. And cheers for coming on, Dan. We'll have you on again soon, mate.
Pleasure, mate. Pleasure.
All right, folks. That's it for this hobby hangout. And we'll catch you in 2 weeks' time. Same time again. Take it easy, guys.
Good night.